Okay, and we are live in 3, 2, 1.
Hi guys, this is the Outlander after show, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
It's really loud for me. Hello everyone. Welcome to the Outlander after show on AFTERBUZZ TV. We're reviewing season 3, episode 8, First Wife. I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow, and here are my fellow co-hosts.
I'm Emily Harlan. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at OMG. It's MLE.
And I'm Tiona Hobson, and you can find me at the Tiona Hobson.
And I'm Rachel Goodman. You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Rachel Goodman.
All right, so first thoughts.
Oh my god!
All right.
Oh my god, guys. I mean, it was 2 weeks ago that I sat here with Rachel and Emily and was like, it better not be Laoghaire.
Oh.
And then it was.
Yeah.
So.
And she's just as crazy.
And she's just
More.
as
She's
crazy.
more crazy.
She's actually psycho at this point, guys. And oh my gosh, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I agree. Yeah, I really like this episode. I thought there was a lot going on, and we got our question answered of what Jamie was up to, why he married Larry and all that. So I really liked it. I wasn't expecting the ending, and I know we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But I thought it was action-packed and like kind of like a fun episode, I guess. Not really
it's kind of
fun
fun.
because there were some weird things that happened, but I enjoyed it, you
Yeah.
know? So yeah. Oh, before, can I just say that today is National Love Your Red Hair Day?
Hey.
And so I would just like to say, Jamie Fraser, we love your red hair. So that's it. Okay.
Amongst other things.
Yes.
Sam Heughan, we love your red hair.
Yes.
And everything about you.
Yes, that too.
Yeah, Jamie kind of pissed me off in this episode, and it was just so much because, I mean, I guess I just don't like the fact that he didn't tell her the truth to begin with,
Yeah.
and also the things he was saying to her during the fight, like, I think, and I know this is jumping ahead, but the thing that pissed me off the most was when he said, oh, when you left me.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what? Excuse me?
You told her
No.
to go.
He made her, like, he literally took her and, like, walked her to that stone, so no.
Yeah. Yes, I was happy that she actually spoke up in the moment, and it wasn't something where she's like, oh, he said that? Everyone knows he shouldn't have said that, right? Like, he sent her. But, so I was happy that they addressed it kind of like as the audience would be talking. She actually said the words the audience was thinking. Overall, I really loved the episode. I thought it was funny, and it was nice to get back to Lollybrock and see everyone again. And it made me, I kind of forgot that, oh yeah, when Claire left, this affected everyone, not just Jamie, and so that made sense. So, sorry, my brain's going like a mile a minute. Let's start with Jenny. So yeah, what did you guys feel about when she was reintroduced to go back to Lollybrock and Jenny's there and she's still Jenny, right?
Well, we have a comment, too, that kind of goes along with that. Regina Collins asks, does anyone think Claire could tell Jenny? At first I read that as should, but it's actually could. So, yeah, could tell Jenny the truth, I guess.
It was kind of insinuated that she could.
Yeah.
There's some things that Jenny said that, you know, there are things that I know about you that don't make sense, and I go along with it anyway.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought in that moment she might tell her.
And that's.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I kind of thought the same thing. I really think that even if Jenny wouldn't believe her, I feel like she owes the explanation to Jenny. She probably won't believe her. She'll probably think she's crazy, but at least Jenny seems to notice and be able to pick up on the fact when Claire's telling her the truth. So at least she'll know that Claire believes it.
I think she could tell Jenny because I think Jenny's somebody that's loyal to her family no matter what. So even if she didn't believe Claire, whatever, you know, it's not something where she would like just blab her mouth and be like, oh, this lady's crazy. You know, I think she's loyal because that's Jamie's wife. But at the same time, when Jamie made that statement, when he said she hasn't seen the whole, you know, the world, she's just lived on this farm. So that really makes me think that regardless of how honest Claire was or Jamie was, I don't think she would really grasp or understand at all, you know? So I think they kind of risk that, you know, why would they go into that territory with her? So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds, I think, with that.
Yeah, I think that I like what you said because I was thinking the same thing with Ginny and not being outside of Lollybrock and not understanding. I could see Claire telling her, and I could see Ginny believing that that Claire believes this is what happened to her, but Ginny being like, no, that's not what really happened. You're still not telling me something.
Yeah.
Because she is very intuitive with the whole, like, you're lying to me, you're not lying to me thing. So I think that you risk something in telling her, and if you were gonna tell her, it should have been 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Not now.
I think they kind of also, I think everyone kind of underestimates Jenny, even though she's like a small town gal. I'm sure she's heard those rumors about the rocks before, because it seems like it's a story that's known throughout the community of Scotland. Sorry, I know it's a country, but whatever.
It's just a small little community. It's great, guys.
And so sometimes I phrase things in my head and go, oh, someone's gonna get offended. But yeah, so I feel like she would be a little bit more understanding, even if it's something where it's kind of like, I don't know, but okay. Because she still took her in, even when everyone thought that Claire was a witch. So she's a little bit more open-minded than some others.
Yeah.
And that's why I think she should just tell her.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's not... well, here's the thing, too. I also don't understand completely why Jenny would be mad with Claire. I feel like maybe she's taking a lot of her anger out on her, and Claire's the person who gets it. I guess I kind of understand. It's like this person just disappeared, and why wouldn't she, even if she wasn't going to come back for Jamie, why wouldn't she come back for me? I do get that, but I feel like she's, maybe like projecting too much anger on Claire.
Yeah. I agree with you. This episode, just going back to like getting into Jenny and kind of being introduced to that, it made me a little upset just to see how far she was taking it. I could see if, in the beginning, just kind of saying like, having that anger towards her, but it just felt like it was a little bit too much, and just a little bit like it kind of got to a point where I'm like, okay, Jenny, it's time for you. We understand that you're upset. Claire understands that you're upset, but now it's time to kind of step back and say, okay, what's going to happen from here? Where are we at from here? So I think she did kind of drag it on a little bit too much and a little bit too heavy on it. I don't know.
And did anyone get the sense that her and Ian weren't very happy anymore?
Yeah, I got that.
You got that sense?
Yeah.
Because it was something that was said when she was cleaning up after Jamie and Claire's fight in that room, and he was like, "Why can't you just let them be happy?" And she's like, "Do you call this happiness?" And kind of looked at him weird. Oh, so that kind of made me sense a little bit of tension maybe between them in the 20 years that we've had. So maybe it's also just her frustration with that situation that she's taking out on Claire.
I think she's also just referring to like the room being torn apart, and maybe that's at least that's how I took it. I mean, 20 years, they've been Ian and Jenny have been married for
a long time.
Sooner or later you're gonna have some tension.
Eric Jackson says Jenny would probably get it. She would probably believe in the fairies and magic. And then poor Latina says, I still think Jenny never liked Claire.
I thought she really liked her. I don't know. Jenny's a tough cookie, and that's always been the case. Like, I thought she wasn't going to be that nice to Jamie when he came back, because the last time we saw her, she was like, "I'll never forgive you." And so I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess eventually, after 20 years, she forgave him."
Yeah.
But overall, she's just always been that kind of tough cookie. But I want to kind of switch gears and go a little bit more towards about Ian, who. So I guess in the books, when Ian comes back home, this is something I just happen to know from reading up about, kind of expecting what were we going to see when Jamie brought Ian Jr. back to Lollybrock. I guess there's like a major fight that happens between Ian Sr. and Jamie in the books that they decided to just like not do in the TV show. But when he comes back, you get to see that there's like this battle of like, go and explore the world, Jamie, and small town gal, Jenny. Of like, well, you don't have to whip your children, and you should let him go out and, and then make it seem like you have the reins on his freedom. And I thought that was a really interesting dynamic of seeing Jamie be a little bit more progressive, dare I say, when it came to child rearing. I don't know what you guys were thoughts on that whole situation.
I was just reading on Entertainment Weekly about the whole whipping thing, and in the book he does get a major lashing. And so for the episode they went back and forth about if they were going to include it, and last year when they were writing the episode they did have it in there. And then they took it out because in episode 3 they were supposed to include a major lashing for Murta when he was in the prison for having the tartan. So they did change that for the storyline here because they didn't want to have like 2 major lashings happening back to back sort of things. I think that if we're going based on the book, he does get a lashing and Jamie gets a lashing.
Oh, wow.
Like Jamie takes one for the team too because he kind of encouraged it. So
Ian lashes Jamie in the book?
Yes.
Oh my.
At least that's what this Entertainment Weekly
it was like
article
a major fight. In the book.
Yeah, it was like a major thing, and Jamie had to do the lashings on young Ian, and then Jamie also got lashings too, just to sort of
solidarity.
Solidarity, even the score kind of thing.
I was really hoping that they weren't going to show Jamie lashing young Ian, just because I think as a viewer that would have been extra tough to watch, just knowing what Jamie's been through with getting lashes and then having to do that to a young kid too. Once Ian said that, like, oh, here, you go lash him, then I was like, oh, please, I don't need this right now. I already have to see Larry. I don't need this.
Right?
I didn't think that was going to happen. I didn't think that Jamie would be able to do it, even if they were like, you have to. Yeah, I didn't see that happening.
Yeah, I know, and that's interesting that it happens in the books and then not in the TV show. So
yeah, I think sometimes in the TV show they tend to, maybe, I don't know, I haven't read the books. They span 20 years, you guys, give me a break. But I think sometimes they make some interesting choices in terms of like Jamie, in terms of kind of going, well, we could make him a little bit more likable or amenable to like current mindsets in terms of like how you do rear your children and how you handle discipline at this point in 2017. So they're back at Lillybrock. There's tension between Claire and Jenny because Jenny doesn't like liars, and I'm right there with you. I don't like liars either, Jenny. And Ian's smacking, Ian Jr.'s putting shit on something. I was like, what is that for? Like, what does that do again? But if anyone in the chat room knows why he was stacking shit. Yes.
Well, we do have a comment. Terry Drosselmeyer says, Jamie lashes young Ian, and young Ian lashes Jamie.
Okay. That's
okay.
In the books, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad we didn't have to watch that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see that again. I've already seen Jamie's back shredded enough for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So they end up, kind of going to bed, and there's still tension, I think, between Jamie and Claire from the previous conversation they had. And he's getting ready to tell her the big secret that he's been keeping from her. And he tells her to have an open heart and to listen, completely before judging. And before she can even listen completely before judging, these 2 children burst into the room. And I'm like, who are these children? Daddy. I was like, oh my God. Wait, what?
Wait, Daddy?
Yeah.
Zaddy.
And
I love to call Jamie Daddy.
And I was like, oh God, wait, did he? Because I knew already about Leary a little bit. I think I kind of even told you guys, I was like, oh, it's going to be Leary after the show last week. But I was like, who's this little redheaded child? Oh my God, he's been sleeping with her?
I know.
Sleeps with her?
Yeah.
Oh no. And then she burst in, the long lost Leary. And I know for
Was
people
she
who went,
long and lost? Did we miss her lost?
I didn't say like I didn't say long missed.
Yes.
I said long lost. Burst into the room, calling Claire the C word, evil witch. I was like, whoa.
I just want to know so I know everyone thinks that she's dead, so in Leary's mind, you see her and she's not dead. My first thought isn't you treacherous whore, you C-word, you're with my man.
Yeah.
My first thought is, oh my gosh, you're alive and my husband's with you still and you're his wife? What's going on?
Yeah.
But I'm a sane person and Leary's not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the difference
Leary's
between
a
us.
psychopath,
Yes.
basically. Yeah. I
So
know.
Yeah. I don't really understand that whole thing because she should have realized.
yeah.
She's
There's
crazy.
no
Yeah.
contest. But, you know, we all know from previous seasons that she is crazy. What?
I just saw a comment on the chat. In the book, they burst in when they were having sex.
Well, that's one way to scar
it's a
some
little-
kids for
little
life.
different.
Yeah.
Especially the way Jamie and Claire have sex. Man.
Yeah.
It is.
Sometimes it's sweet. Most times
Most
it's like,
of the time
woo.
it's.
And what was about to happen didn't seem like it was so sweet.
Oh, yeah. But so she burst into. I guess I wanted to. What were your first responses? Because I know, like, who knew that it was Leary that was going to burst into the room?
I had no idea.
I had no idea.
I didn't know, but I did say it better not be her. And so then based off of people's comments, like, oh, you don't know, just like
Yeah.
you're on the right path. It's like, please don't let it be her. And I wasn't expecting it in that moment
Yeah.
either. So it just took me by surprise still, especially because when you think of all the things that Leary has done to Claire
Yeah.
and to Jamie too, to think that he would go on and marry her,
Yeah.
even if it is for the reasons that he gave, it's still, if I was Claire, I would still be hurt. This woman put an ill wish under our bed before, like right after you got married.
Yeah.
She had me tried as a witch and almost burnt at the stake.
Yeah.
Off of a lie. Like she
Yeah.
is the epitome of evil,
Yeah.
especially with this relationship. So yes, she has these two young girls. Help them out if you want to,
Yeah.
Jamie. Give them some money here and there, but you ain't got to marry the hoe.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too, is that I completely agree with you, and I don't understand why he would think that his like argument in his head is sound. It just makes no sense that he would do this at all. He went from not being able to marry anyone to, okay, I'm gonna marry her. just
Well,
because
I would have taken the
get
housekeeper.
there.
What
Yeah.
happened to her? The girl who he
Yeah.
had sex with before he like
Yeah.
ran off the like marry her.
Yeah.
Marry some other
Yeah.
like townsy person or whatever. And I know the chat is saying, and I know Ginny was a big factor in pushing Jamie to marry her, but it's still Ginny. Did you know the full story? Did
Before
you know?
Yeah, I know. Before we jump forward to like his explanation, yeah. So let's actually touch on. Did you have anything to comment before I move on?
No, just on when she burst in, it's like the whole time, even when he was gonna tell Claire, I'm like, okay, good, he's gonna tell Claire now, but there were so many opportunities to tell
Yeah.
her, and it's like it goes back to the thing where the news he had was awful and could have scared her away, but now you're adding on the fact that you lied to her, kept something from her, which is so much worse. So I think if he would have just been honest with her, it would have been a shock, and who knows how she would have reacted, but I don't think it would have been as cray
Yeah.
as what happened. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
that just once they burst in, I'm like, see, there
Exactly.
you go.
Yeah.
And it's like what she said too, Claire, when she said, yeah, why didn't you just tell me when you told me about your son? Claire would have been understanding about that.
Yeah.
And it just, it didn't make sense to me.
Well, I think, you know, I think Jamie's response when she finally gets Leary and the children to leave, of just being really honest and saying, because I'm a coward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was afraid you were going to leave me, and I just couldn't handle you leaving me again. And I know what I did was wrong, but, you know. But then there's something about the way they fight as of late, as these two older adults, where it comes into, like, throwing zingers. Like, he always wants to bring up Frank, or he brings up Brianna wearing a bikini or something like that. And you're kind of like, Jamie, what? So there's a different fighting style that they have as these two older people, where I think Claire's, because she hasn't really had to maintain that kind of like survival mode, she's a little bit more, I think, a little bit more reasonable of a person now than maybe she was when they were younger. And I don't think Jamie, because he hasn't had to go through that really, of being a little bit more settled in life, doesn't realize that he can kind of come to her with anything. But, you know, she did. Oh, no, I was jumping forward. Never mind. So, but, like, there's something about just the style of their fighting that was very interesting. Because you could tell, like, he was still kind of used to that, like, kind of aggressive fighting that they used to have. And she was not quite as used to it anymore. But the fight was still really funny. Because at the end, it was just like, okay, yeah, this is still Jamie and Claire. She's gonna, like, he's gonna get too aggressive and she's gonna slap him, and then he's gonna kiss her, and then she's gonna yank his hair, and then all of a sudden they're gonna start making out and having sex. So,
Terry Drosselmeyer says, Jamie isn't always the king of men. He screws up too sometimes.
Oh well, yeah. I think it's understandable that he would mess up, but we all kind of know that he should have told her.
Yeah.
Like there's just kind of that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And she was right when she was arguing. She said, you know, you told me you had a kid. There was one other thing that she said. She's like, you told me you had a kid. You told me you had one other thing I can't remember. But I don't know. Was it just the kid?
I think it was the kid. That was the major thing.
Yeah, I thought there was one.
Oh,
other
and
thing
that you hadn't fell in love with.
and that you hadn't fell in love with anyone, but you couldn't tell me that you were married.
Yeah.
And so that kind of speaks to like, yeah, those are two major things, and being married is also a whole other major thing
Yeah.
that he could have spoke of. So Jenny comes in and throws water in on them because I was like, oh, thank you. That makes sense. It's a house full of people and children. And,
Yeah.
and it makes sense
And
that
the
people
walls
would
aren't
hear.
thick.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And we discover that it was Jenny that called Larry.
I know.
Way to be shady. Like, give
Yeah.
someone a heads up that you called their
Yeah.
wife to
Yeah.
let them know that their other wife is here.
Yeah.
That was a crappy way to do it, too. At least
Yeah.
she could have told Claire, hey, he's got another wife.
Right.
Like, tell her the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah, that just goes
Yeah.
to when I was saying how I felt like Jenny just dragged this on for too long. It's
Yeah.
like then it's like she's already mad at Claire. She's already, giving her like the cold shoulder. She's mad at Jamie. And then she goes and tells Leary, who I'm sure everybody knows is crazy,
Yeah.
right? Jenny knows she's
Yeah.
crazy. You tell her that Claire's here. It's like, it's just a little bit too much from Jenny. I kind of know where she's coming from. I can understand a little bit, but it was just too much, and I thought that was uncalled for.
Yeah, it didn't really
I
give...
don't like that.
Because it was within the day. It didn't give Jamie the chance to come to his wife and tell her on his own. I mean, he still took too long to do it, but he was about to tell her. He was
Yeah.
literally... She didn't even give him the day. She's like, you know what? Nah, fuck you. I'm going to go call your
Well,
wife.
because in her mind,
Yeah.
he already had the days because
Yeah.
Ian came home and Ian even said something to Jamie
Yeah.
when he was in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So, Ian knew about it. Ian said something to him and he still hadn't told her. So I see why she's at the point of, she needs to know.
Yeah.
The execution of it was in poor taste.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
could have
Yeah.
given him the night.
She could have
least.
been a little bit better about it and been like, oh
Yeah.
if you want to be mad at Claire, just like, well, I'm mad at you for not writing me a letter and telling me you were in the Americas. Guess what? My brother's married to Leary. Boom. Mic drop. and then have Leary come in. Like, you don't.
I guess,
have
if you just have to be
summon her.
shady about
if
it.
you have to be that person and be petty about it,
Yeah.
then be the one to say it to her face and watch her
Yeah.
face just like get sunken in. That's how I would do it.
And if
But-
you had to summon her, that took time. So that means that you
Yeah.
decided
Yes.
to tell in the morning, like when they first got there.
Yeah.
And
So
so that's where I am with Jenny, where I'm just, okay,
Yeah.
I get it, Jenny, and I get that you're mad because in her mind, he's sleeping with both wives, even though we know he hasn't been sleeping with Leary, because who would? Sorry, that was mean. I just really don't like her character.
That's fair.
Love the actress, you're great. The character, not so much. But, it's one of those situations where I'm just thinking, Jenny, regardless of how mad you are at Claire and what you think she may or may not have done, you're also doing this to your brother.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're still hurting your family.
That's a good point.
And family is first in everything. And Jenny's supposed to be the, number one advocate for family and especially her brother. So at the end of the day, you're just hurting him.
Yeah.
Which literally he ended up getting injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get into that. So the next day, Claire's like, I'm out. She's got her bag. She's like, you know what? I just can't. You lied to me. I just can't. And Jamie's there, waiting, like he knew, like she thought she's gonna leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like,
He
don't
knows
do
her well
this.
enough.
Don't leave. I love you. It was a mistake. Blah blah blah. And sure enough, as he's saying the words, I've never loved anyone else but you, or as Claire's saying, you said you never loved anyone else, and he's like, yeah, you're right. There's Leary with a gun, just like ready, just like she came. Like, I'm just going to kill this woman. Like, no, obviously, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, she decides that she's going to shoot Claire, and in her anger and frustration of yelling at Jamie, I don't even know how she did it. She just pulled the trigger or something. She just like, don't put your finger on the trigger unless you're ready to. I guess she was ready to shoot because she shot him in the arm. Shot the man in the arm. And then ran away.
It was almost like it almost felt like she didn't even know what she was doing with that gun because she obviously meant to hurt Claire.
Yeah.
Jamie stands right in front of her and then she shoots, but in the look on her face when she shot, it was like she just did not know how to control that thing.
Yeah.
And there was some time where Jamie wasn't in front of Claire in the very beginning when that happened. I was like, is he gonna get in front of Claire? Because he was kind of like standing to her side. At the moment, I'm like, wait, what's gonna happen here? So there was definitely time for Leary to take her shot, and then but Jamie, jumped in front, took one for the team.
I think my favorite part of this bit is when they bring Jamie into the house. And Jenny walks up, she's like, what happened? And Jamie looks at her, and then Claire swings around, she's like, Leary. I was like, oh,
your fault, Jenny.
That's really funny, because it was just like a kind of cute moment of like, we told you. Not
that she's crazy.
I think my favorite part was like kind of after everything happened, and she was like, "No, you need to drink liquids." And he takes the alcohol and he goes, "This is a liquid."
Yeah, right. And drinks it. Yeah,
I loved all those little moments that I felt like they put throughout the episode, like with his arm looking like Swiss cheese. You know, and he's like, "I don't know what that is, but I don't want it on my bread." I liked all those, like, even though this episode was kind of intense with everything that was happening, I liked all those little funny moments in there.
Yeah, it's always great when they can be funny together.
Yeah, another great thing about this episode that I was thinking about is that most of it was just people talking in rooms, but it was still interesting. And as I was watching, I was like, man, not much is actually physically happening. It's just a bunch of people in rooms talking, but they still found a way to make it compelling and to tell a story that I was interested in. I never lost my interest in it. It just connected in my brain like, okay, nothing's happening, but things are happening. They're just sitting in a room. So good job.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see the full story. At first, when they first started going into the story of why he ended up with Leary, I was like, I don't want a flashback. Like, that was the first thing that pops into my head. Like, I don't want to see him fall in love, or not fall in love, but like choose, or a wedding up between him and Leary. I don't want to see any of that. So I like the part that they actually chose, of just having it be the Christmas party. And then, because that also, I think, made me understand where he was coming from in terms of he was lonely. He didn't feel necessarily a part of his family at that point because he'd been gone for so long that, all the children had grown and they didn't recognize him anymore. And so here were these two little girls who were super sweet to him, and, they happened to be Leary's children.
Well, and that's the thing I liked about it best was that at first I thought, it was going to be like, not necessarily that he was falling in love with Leary, but that it would kind of show their connection. But in this sense, the only connection I really saw is that he connected with her children.
Yeah.
Her, I didn't, he saw her, but then it wasn't really like, anything super intense. I felt like the connection he had with the woman before when he had William, I thought that was a little bit more than what we saw. It wasn't anything at all, but I thought it was more than what we saw with Leary.
I think Jamie always has a lot of empathy for people. I think, she's a widow, and she had these great children, and even the scene you have of him sitting down the little one and being like, I just don't, there's a feeling that you're supposed to feel when you're married, and I feel this with my first wife, and the daughter was like super chill, like, okay.
She's like, I get it. All right, cool, Dad, come say hi to me.
I get it. My mom's psycho.
I get it.
She's like, run. No.
Yeah, but that, and just even the explanation of like why he finally stopped, he gave up on the marriage was because poor. This kind of made me feel for Leary, that Leary had been like abused in her previous marriages to the point where she couldn't be touched. Yeah. And I was like, no, I don't like Leary, but I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure.
I wouldn't wish that on her.
I think that it shows, though, a lot about Jamie and what this 20 years was for him, like the void that he had from not seeing Willie and knowing that Brianna was out there, and like just trying to fill that void of like wanting to be a dad, you know, and like missing those kids. And so I liked how in the after show the producers were saying that they kind of wanted to show this flashback to kind of try to give the viewers a sense of like why he could have done what he did. And so I like that they showed that, because if they hadn't, I would have been like what the hell was he doing with that crazy, you know? So I kind of like that part. But.
Yeah, he had a great explanation of like, I wanted to be a father and a husband. He's like, I really wanted it. And it's nice to hear that said by a man on television. Because I think a lot of the time it's always like a woman being like, I want to be a mother and a wife. And it's kind of it's reversed here, where it's Claire, like, when she's talking about what she left, she's like, I left my career. Yeah. Like, she's like, I had friends, I had a life. And he's like, yeah, but you had all these things that I really wanted. I really just wanted to be someone who could be a husband and a father. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's nice to hear coming from a man.
That is nice to hear.
Yeah.
From him.
So we get to the next day, where Ned Gowan comes to see if there's anything that can be done about this marriage. And sure enough, obviously, if your original wife comes back, second marriage is
like,
void.
I'm pretty sure this is easy.
And no, it's pretty easy. But Larry being Larry's like, I'm not leaving without a fight, and I want some money. And they're like, well, can we send her to prison? And Jamie, being Jamie's like, I won't do that to the children. So she gets alimony, which of 20 pounds, which I'm like, Claire, you don't have that just on you? Like,
that's what I was wondering.
Gold coins you brought over.
Didn't she have to pay for passage, like, over to...
She didn't bring enough then.
She didn't bring enough.
If I had been Claire and I was preparing for this, I would have brought enough money that it wouldn't have mattered with situations like this.
Yeah.
Because 20 pounds is she probably could have gotten, way more to take with her, that she would have been set for life.
But she also had to find, like, coins from that century in her century.
True.
So, like, the ones that she got, she was lucky to get. And so I understand that. I'm just over here wondering, like, first of all, you shot me with a gun that's illegal out here. How do I get stuck paying you all this money in alimony and child support for some babies that ain't even mine? Like, that's my question.
I mean, he definitely could have just been like, I will send you to jail if you do not leave me alone. But that's just not
That's
Jamie.
not his style, and I get it. Yeah. And he's a good person, but on the inside, I don't like her.
I know.
So my thought is, send her enough to take care of them kids that you like and are cute. Yeah. But screw the rest of it. Yeah. You can't extort me for more money when you're the one who should be going to jail.
Yeah.
Anyways, I digress.
I felt the same. I was like, that's some BS, but okay. So because it leads them, I was like, oh, this is supposed to just lead them to something else, apparently. It leads them on this random voyage where we discover that Jamie went looking for Claire on that island, and he found the jewels, and he sends Ian Jr. to go back and get those jewels. And I was like, okay, this seems pretty cool. We get a nice little moment between him and Claire. They talk about, I don't know if this is going to work, and that's Jamie's chance to be the mature one and be like, don't think about the man I was, love the man that I am. And I was like, oh, my heart, little pitter patter for that. But then pirates.
I know.
Like, that's pretty much what I was like, oh, I love this. Pirates? Really? Pirates? Are they pirates? Who are these people? I see no black flags. I don't know. How did you guys feel about that transition?
I kind of thought it was really random. I mean, I guess if it happened in the books, it makes sense if it happened here, but I don't know. I knew something was going to happen where he wasn't going to get that treasure, but it just seemed so random that in that moment, oh, hey, here comes the ship. Here's some dudes on rowboats. Yeah. And also, why didn't they just get a rowboat of their own somehow?
That's what I was thinking, too.
It would have been easier.
Yeah, it would have been a lot easier.
Way more convenient. But I knew that this season was going to take us to the Caribbean, and I knew that they were using the Black Sails set pieces for a lot of it. So I knew pirates were getting involved. I just wasn't sure how they would get involved, because in my head I'm like, Scotland, pirates, you don't really hear a lot about pirates up there. You always hear about the Caribbean pirates and stuff. Yeah. So yes, it makes sense now how we're getting there, but I just feel bad for young Ian because like I was telling you earlier, first he loses his virginity, and then some dude comes in and burns down his uncle's shop like he's mid-stroke and just like, oh, whoa, gotta stop here. Hang on, let me go try and save it. And then he's like, hey, uncle, I'm gonna impress you, and I'm gonna go swim out all this way to get these jewels. And then he gets kidnapped by pirates.
I know.
The kid can't catch a break right now, and I feel so bad for him.
Yeah.
At
bless
least he
his
didn't
heart.
die. I thought he was
I thought he was gonna die too.
Yeah. I loved the pirate thing just because I love the whole, like, I know it's not fantasy, they're obviously real, but just seeing that, like, the pirate thing, I thought it was super exciting and cool, and I can't wait to see what happens with that. And yes, bless young Ian's heart. That little sweet boy. I hope he's all right, and hope he doesn't get corrupt by these.
I hope he does.
Pirates.
He needs to get a little corrupted to understand that the world is dangerous, Ian.
Yes. And I'm excited for this because that means the adventure is back.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
like I was saying, this episode, everyone's just sitting talking. And I feel, as I thought about that, a lot of these episodes leading up has just been people talking and telling stories and catching us up on things. And now we can just start the adventure.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been missing. And I saw someone, Eric Jackson said, I was wondering if they'd cross over with the Black Sails. I did read an article that said that there are a lot of, like, the extras and crew members on the ships that are from Black Sails.
Cool.
Like, not the main actors or anything like that. So you will maybe see some familiar faces in the
Okay.
ship scenes and stuff if you watch Black Sails.
Well, let's go ahead into predictions since we're already on the boat.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right. So who wants to start?
Well, yeah, I kind of think, and I kind of think that it's gonna eventually keep them out in the Caribbean. Everything that's happening. I mean, I haven't read the book, so I don't know for sure. But yeah, I guess they're gonna maybe try and find these guys. But I don't even know how they would go about finding the random pirates that took young Ian. But that's my prediction. Is that that's what they're gonna try and do.
Yeah, because without an iPhone, like, where's Find My Phone now? I don't know how you find him when a random ship shows up and takes off. But they did try and show us a little bit of the sails of the ship, so maybe that's how they get there. I don't know if I have a prediction because I don't know what happens next. I'm still too caught up in the whole Leary thing to think past
fair.
that, but I understand she's behind us now, so
Let's move forward.
move forward.
Yeah. My only prediction is that I think it's going to take a lot longer to find young Ian. I think this is going to be kind of like an extended thing. That's going to be a while, and Jenny is going to be pissed.
Oh, man.
my prediction.
I can't wait to see Jenny's face. Because this all still goes back to her calling Leary. If he had just let him do it on his own, Jenny, it's your fault that your son got... No, it's not, but whatever. I think it's just going to be more about the adventure. And so we're on our way to kind of seeing what that weird look that Claire had on her face when she saw those bones from the Caribbean a few episodes is about. So that'll be interesting. Maybe we'll get finally hear what that's about. And I think they're gonna have sex on a boat. I'm just gonna put that out there.
The boat's gonna be a rockin'.
The boat. Because there's not much to glean from the end or from the preview that happened.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see them have an adventure again. All right. Well, I think that wraps up this episode of Outlander After Show on AfterBuzz TV. Where can everyone find everyone? Rachel.
I am Rachel Goodman. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at Rach Goodman, or on Facebook at Rachel Ann Goodman.
Tiona Hobson, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Tiona Hobson.
I'm Emily Harlan. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at OMG. It's MLE.
And I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow. As always, please rate, subscribe, all that stuff you do on iTunes, YouTube, comment. We're always at the live chat open. We'll be able to take some comments and read as we're going through the show. And we appreciate your viewership, as always. So thank you so much for tuning in. See you next week, and stay sexy.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.